Welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation for tonight's Hidden Gem segment. Another segment where we highlight Black businesses, Black leaders in the community, amazing people that's doing things for our people. Tonight we had several hidden gems. We had a couple who wasn't able to make it. I know we're getting close here to the holiday season. People are traveling, getting ready to make their final descents to the areas to go hang out with family, enjoy the holiday season. So shout out to them. Everybody have safe travels this weekend and enjoy the family and don't eat too much. But before we get started tonight, also wanted to say you guys keep our co-founder Rico Hamilton, him and his family in your prayers tonight as we continue to move along and push along. We just want to keep our brother's spirit lifted and keep him in our prayers. So thank you guys for that. But tonight we have an amazing hidden gem here. He's probably not hitting to some people, but for some of you guys, he is hidden. He's a brother, local brother here in the Bay Area from Oakland, doing amazing things, been helping the community, doing some amazing work, starting his own practice, been sauced and seasoned, from some of the best attorneys in the game, working under John Burrs, man, a real a giant in this industry. And now this brother is coming on to take the torch and run with it and make the Bay shake up, man, to take care of the people. So tonight we have a Dante Pointer here. He's a lawyer that grew up in Oakland, motivated by the things that he saw growing up as a youth. In our community with the police, inspired the brother to go out here and do his thing. He's been attached to a number of high profile cases here in the Bay Area, most famously the Oscar Grant story, just to be a part of that and some of the other major stories that took place here in the Bay Area. And without further ado, man, I want to bring this brother on, man, so he could talk to the people about what he's doing in his practice, what type of cases he's dealing with, and how he can support and connect with this brother in the community. So without further ado, I want to bring on attorney Dante Pointer. What's going on, good brother?
Oh man, just trying to make it do what it do, and appreciate you for making space and time on your platform, man. It's always a precious opportunity to get to talk directly to the people. You know,
Yes,
appreciate
that's most important, man. So let the people know what you're doing, and give them a little background on your little in depth. I just wanted to kind of bring you in, but go ahead and let people know what you're doing, what you've been doing, and where you're going forward.
Sure. As you said, my name's Dante Pointer, Bay Area native, Oakland, West Oakland in particular, born and raised a couple of blocks from Mac. I went to O'Dowd as well, but I graduated from Berkeley High, so shout out to B High, the Yellow Jackets. I then went on to San Diego State for a couple years, transferred back to UC Berkeley, graduated from UC Berkeley, then went on to law school at UC Hastings. I worked for a period of time on Capitol Hill. I worked with Congressman Ron Dellums, Congresswoman Barbara Lee in our Oakland office as well as in DC. And she was one of my first and early mentors. Went on to do some work with Councilwoman Desley Brooks, community organizer David Glover at Okur, and a host of other projects, Nancy Nadell and stuff in West Oakland, and community development and organizing. So my heart and my work has always been about representing the community, which is why my new law firm, which I just started in the middle of this pandemic in June of this year, 2020, Pointer and Buelna, at Lawyers for the People. We specifically wanted to have that as a part of our firm title, Lawyers for the People, because that's what we believe in, representing the people against all the oppression, all the giants, all the people who think they're untouchable, all the people who would wish to do us harm, to exploit us, and to diminish our true nature as people, so our humanity. So that firm is based here in Oakland, right here by the lake, but we have game and we'll travel. So, I've represented people all over the state. I've traveled in and out of state, representing clients, from high end celebrities. I won't go into all those different names, but, NFL Pro Bowlers to NFL stars and NBA stars. And I've had my fair share of fights, against the big time corporations, even. And so, all of those travels has always been in representing the people's interest against corporate interest or against, like I said, people who want to do us harm. So, that's been a little bit of my journey. But given, once I started practicing law, which I been practicing law 15 going on 16 years. And I started off you know, graduated law school, and I couldn't even find a job. So that's a part, you know, for anybody out there that's right now trying to figure out, you know, what their next move is going to be. And you might not feel like you got the money, you might not feel like you got the connections. You might, and deep down inside, not even sure if you could really pull it off because you don't have the skill or the talent or whatever it might be, the brain power, if you will. You know, all my way through school. And I tell this to many of the kids when I go talk to classes or schools or to their student body. I just let them know, look, it wasn't until I got into my last semester of high school did I ever have a GPA above a 3.0. Before then, it was all C minus, C plus. The best A plus to me was like a B minus. So that was where I was at. I was doing just enough to get by, and I thought that was enough. And it wasn't until really the birth of my daughter, when I first turned 18 in my first semester in college at San Diego State, that I really started taking school seriously. And frankly, it wasn't because I was necessarily intellectually curious. It was more so because I was looking for a hustle. And I realized that you could actually get paid from the books. Whereas, primarily I had always been told and had my eyes on playing football and sports, and I was okay. But when I went to Berkeley High and I got with the team over there, and it was five brothers who went to the NFL, I knew my career was over. I knew my career was over. I knew, man, I better find a new hustle. And so I started, applying myself more to the academics, and that took me far. And it's interesting because, like I said, I went from being somebody who was barely passing classes in high school to, by the time I graduated from UC Berkeley, I had one of the highest GPAs in the whole school. I was a Golden Key Honor Society member, and in order to become a part of that exclusive club, you have to have the top 10% GPA in the whole 33,000 students at UC Berkeley. So, man, all that, but at the same time, man, I got it out the mud. And I'll go into more of that, if you will, based upon the questions and people's interest. But at the end of the day, made it to law school, and it was tough. A parent raising a child. My daughter, went to a lot of classes with me, spent a lot of time in the libraries with me. I felt like they were supposed to hand her a degree when I graduated. You heard me? But I went on and barely made it through just how the stuff that I was taking care of, a sick mom, trying to, work multiple jobs and all that. I was hustle man. I did a little bit of everything. Worked in the library, worked for the congressperson, did stuff on the weekend. I was just trying to make it happen, make ends meet. And so barely made it out of law school, and academic probation even in law school. But I'm here to tell people, I mean, the hustle, the dream, the universe, God, whatever you want to put on it is real, because I stand before you today, and I've been alumni of the year for the law school. They call me for donations now. They want to put me in the magazines. They want to put me in the marketing materials. And man, let me tell you, I couldn't get a biscuit when I was at that place. But there's always been people, quiet as it's kept, there's always been people who are in your corner who believe in you. And so, you got to turn everybody else out and just focus on the people who got your back, who really believe in you and your mission. And that's what brought me here today, because after being there at Mr. Burris's office, learning at the hands, at the elbow of one of the masters at this, of the pioneers of this, the dean of civil rights litigation, like every parent, they should want to see their seed, the fruit of what they've created, go out into the world and create their path and take it to the next level. And that's what I intend to do with Lawyers for the People.
Man, that's humongous, man. And just refreshing to have you on here, because a lot of times, doing this work here at both sides of the conversation, we interact with a lot of women. And the biggest thing in the black community is, where are the brothers at that's doing things? And it's just a blessing to have another brother on here that's making moves, doing stuff for the community here, inspiring. Me and Rico, we have a mentoring program, and we have a couple of our young people watching tonight. And I think that's what we need in our community. More brothers that look like us, understand of us. I mean, when they see you, they can feel that energy. When you can feel that Oakland coming out of you in your speech, right? So that give the young people hope. And for them to see people, just to keep it real and say, hey, I came from where you were at. I made the transition and do what I need to do to make it and continue to stay on that grind. I think is important for our young people to see. We have amazing things going on with our women in the movement right now, with the vice president and just a lot of women doing amazing things across the nation. But again, it just seems like we get undershadowed as black men in the community. So it was just like, I'm like, man, I'm glad we had his brother coming on tonight. And the young men, they look up to that, they hear that, because we got young people right now struggling in school, trying to figure it out. And we're trying to educate our young men. Sports ain't gonna always take you there. So I'm glad you pointed that out, because we got a lot of youngsters in our group. They playing basketball, they playing football, and they so focused on that. And we trying to tell them, hey, it's a lot of people trying to do what you're trying to do. There's probably going to be 1,000 more people even dedicated. Not saying you can't do it, but we also want to feed them opportunities and information for other things, because in our black community, with all the disparities and things that's going on to us, I mean, this pandemic has opened up our eyes as not only black people, young people, to what's going on. And we need more brothers that's in the law firm, the medical field, to help us out in the community. So, man, I just think it's powerful in the way you presented that information, because there is somebody that's in college and law school that might want to give up, or maybe graduated and don't know how to get to where they need to go. But hearing you give them that motivation, that inspiration, man, to push them forward, man, it's a blessing to have you tonight to come let the people know.
Man, I appreciate that energy, brother, and all that love. I mean, at the same time, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's looking at you, figuring out, how do I get on a platform? How do I be as smooth and intelligent as that brother? How do I get other people in the community and allow them an opportunity to get on their soapbox? So, I mean, you know, I got to tip my hat to you too, because at the end of the day, you know, I'm looking in the screen and I'm seeing a successful brother, a brother that's about his business and providing opportunities and on his platform that you created. And so, you know, we both, I mean, it's each one teach one. And as we lift, we're supposed to climb. So, you know, I don't want to be the only person at the top. You know, I don't subscribe to that belief system. You know, it's about kicking in the door so everybody can get in, you know. So,
And that's
you know,
deep,
that's kind
because
of how I see it, man, you know.
now you've opened that platform and opportunity for interns. And this is what they don't be understanding. The more we get people in there, now you have an opportunity to grab some interns and some people out of college. So I think the wheel just keeps spinning, man. And that's what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to unify the community. We're trying to educate, empower, and impact the community intentionally, so that we can start making change. And that hope start with brothers like us. And, you know, my brother Rico, just steady pushing forward and pushing through. And I just think that's dope, man. And we just got to keep doing it. So when it comes to your practice, what are the areas of law that you really focused on, or do you take all civil matters, or is it specific things that you really hone in on?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question. You know, I primarily specialize in police misconduct cases. So those are the type of cases that we often see with the videos going viral. You know, Oscar Grant, which is the biggest, if you will, has the most notoriety and publicity for here in the Bay Area of a police brutality case. And I was one of the attorneys on that case. You know, that case was made into the movie Fruitvale. And if you look at the very end of the credits, and if you have a magnifying glass in your hand, you can actually see my name on the credits. You know what? As I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, I gotta go and screenshot that and then highlight it and magnify it. So when I say that, no, I'm just playing. But you know, that was one. You know, I don't want to say a lifetime experience, because I hope my experiences continue. But you know, that was one of those ones that I'll never forget, in terms of a case that I saw the community demand justice, and not just say it by typing something in Twitter or on social media and reposting something. Not that that's not important, okay, because that is important. That's like marketing any business. You have to get saturation in the community and in your audience, so that there's name recognition, so that there's issue recognition, so that people are mobilized, so that people are energized about what we're trying to do. So I'm not poo-pooing that. I'm just saying that it can't stop it in there. You know, nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. So you have to get up and get active. And so I saw the Oakland community, the larger Bay Area community, they demanded the district attorney prosecute Johannes Meserly. They demanded that Oscar Grant's blood would not be spilled in vain. And so as a result of that, we had the movie, we had the officer convicted, even though they did every trick in the book to try to get him off, you know, giving him bail, you know, get jury instructions, move the trial from Oakland all the way down to LA, where they had very little coverage of it. And, you know, because they said that he couldn't get a fair trial here. But I'll ask your viewers, as I'm sure if they think in their minds back on family, friends, or other people who have been accused of things and have their names and faces splashed across the TV screen, splashed across the news, and they have to sit right here with all that negative publicity and fight for their life. So, the criminal justice system, it's not just us. Justice is just us. And so I saw that take place right in front of my eyes, and the community still, got in the cars, carpooled, and was out front packing that courtroom because we just wouldn't go away. And it's interesting because now, you can see the difference. Sometimes you don't know what you're missing until you see it in real life. And so, yesterday was another historic day, another giant steps in the journey for justice, because we have a San Francisco District Attorney, Chesa Boudin, who's progressive. And I don't mean it just in title alone, because you have people who are progressive until it turns into you versus them, until it turns into you moving into their neighborhood, until it turns into you getting a job at their job, or you becoming friends with somebody or joining their social circle. Then all of a sudden it's, whoa, it's too many of y'all in here, right? So, but Chesa Boudin is actually walking it like he talks it. And he sent out an arrest warrant for a former San Francisco police officer that shot and killed unarmed Keita O'Neill, just in broad daylight, shot him through moving through the through the passenger side window of the police car while it was riding down the street, and he was unarmed and hadn't physically or verbally threatened anybody. So, those are the type of actions that I'm happy to see today. And I like to think that the I Am Oscar Grant movement and all of that started, because keep in mind, for the people who may not know, that was all before Trayvon Martin. And most people, history is kind of funny. It just depends on how long you've been around and what you've been paying attention to. But many people started from there and chased that to George Floyd, when really, that started way back then. And even before then, in the 70s, with Melvin Black, who was shot and killed by OPD. And that was a case Mr. Burris litigated. So I do those type of cases, police misconduct cases. I have many, unfortunately, there's so many names of people here in the Bay Area. If I said one, really, I feel obligated to say them all. But, you can see behind me, there's some news articles and things of cases that I've handled. And so I've taken care of and have set time and hugged and with a lot of mothers who have lost their babies or their fathers or their sons or their husbands to police brutality. And so that's one of the big areas I focus in. I also handle personal injury cases. And many people are like, what does that mean? To me, it just means essentially somebody harmed you and we're going to hold them responsible. And I don't write the law. I don't create the law. Sometimes we create the law in new cases, but primarily I'm just here to help you figure out the maze of the law. And oftentimes I like to think of myself, I'm like the shepherd. I have to get my flock to safety, through the valley of wolves, if you will. And so, so I help a lot of different people, people who've been harmed at concerts. I know Jeezy was just on Versus. I have a case that was really big here in the Bay Area, and it's up on appeal right now, where, he was linked and identified as a person that shot and killed somebody here in the Bay Area. So, the type of cases I take are not necessarily limited by a practice area. Many times it's by the outrage that I think it sparks and brings.
Okay, yeah, that's good information. Yeah, and I was glad to see that about the district attorney in San Francisco doing that. I had just came back in town and I saw that, and I was happy because I grew up with that brother. I know the family really well, and I was happy to see those charges pressed. I didn't really think it was gonna happen, so definitely the district attorney did stand by what he said and put that warrant out for that officer. So that was deep. And then I know our co-founder, his family, after the Oscar grant, Salim, I can't think of his last.
Like Tyndall?
Yeah, Salim, that's our co-founder's relative, and
Okay.
I know that's a big deal going on. And
Yeah, they took that case to trial. Bart, once again, these public agencies, the people who are supposed to be doing the people's business, they do everything but the people's business. They're doing business for their people, and it is not even limited to race. A lot of times it's power and money. Race is definitely a factor. But let me tell you, I see people who are all color shapes and stripes who want to deny people or exploit people for their benefit. So, yeah, that case, they took that to trial and held the police and Bart accountable. So, those are a lot of things. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I don't do it anymore. So I'm not looking for any calls on this, but I used to do a lot of criminal defense too. So, I stood in those courtrooms with a lot of people facing serious charges and have helped them fight their way out. And like I said, I know firsthand that the criminal justice system, there's not a lot of justice being handed out in these courtrooms every day.
Yeah, I mean, and that's deep and that's powerful information, and I think right now in the times that we in since George Floyd, there's still, you think as a natural community person, you would think like the police will get it, and it seems like it's getting worse, right? And then with this whole defund the police movement across the Bay Area, it seems like the police have either thrown their hands up, like, "Hey, we're gonna let the community deal with it," or if they're involved with something, it just seems to still be this aggressive towards Black and Brown community. And I don't know what we're gonna do, but it's just they still don't get it. So it's good to have brothers like you to know that at least, hey, if somebody getting something, they can reach out, or if something happened, upcoming. I know you'll do an educational presentation. I just think this information needs to be prevalent to our community, because
Right.
we are the ones that are getting affected the most by it. And just happy to have you as a person in the community that people can reach out to. And yeah, definitely. I mean, it's big.
Yeah, right on. One of the things, like when I go out and give speeches or I talk to community groups and, like I say, classrooms or whomever else, ask me to come out and speak, I talk to them a lot about knowing your rights, because as important as the rights are, as fundamental as it are, as they are, as eating, walking, and talking, many people don't know them. We make a lot of guesses and assumptions about what feels right to us or what we might have heard from somebody. But a lot of times, those assumptions as to what you think the law is will be the reason why you put yourself in a position why the police are doing a lot extra to you. They shouldn't be doing it at all. But now, because you didn't know the law, but you're trying to assert the law, you find yourself on the wrong end of that baton or in them handcuffs, or hope to God, not on the wrong end of the gun. And it doesn't mean that it's the community or a person provoking the situation, because it's not. You're just dealing with a person, the police officer, that's caught up in a culture where there hasn't been accountability. And so you learn that very early if you're a kid or as a parent, right? Like, that you have to discipline your child if you want them to grow up in a particular way and behave in a certain way. You as a child know that because you were disciplined or you were counseled not to do stuff, and there's extreme forms of how you might discipline a kid. It's all the way from, I'm taking away a benefit from you. You're not going to play video games. You're not going to watch TV. No, you're not going over your partner's house, all the way to, hey, when I was a kid, you're going to get a whooping. Like those are the extremes, right? And when you're dealing with the police, it's, hey, sir, I'm going to give you a warning, but, I don't want you, you can't do that. You can't be here. You can't drive your car this fast. It goes from a warning, which is guidance and advice to show you how to avoid these situations in the future, all the way to the extreme, which is, I'm just going to shoot first and ask questions later. And there's no accountability. You see that it used to be very heavy here in Oakland, which, I grew up in West Oakland, and we saw that with the riders and just police all throughout the town. It was like a rite of passage. You get behind the wheel of a car, man, you may not know your rights, but you're going to have to get out. You're going to be subject to be searched. Everybody which is getting searched. Everybody's getting asked if they're on probation or parole. They're going through your pockets. They're going through your car, tearing up your stuff. And then at the end of the day, they find nothing. They just leave you there with nothing but your hurt feelings on the side of the road. And, I think we had talked earlier before we got started, but, that happened to me. And it happened to me as a young man, and it's happened to me along the way. But it recently happened to me about 3 years ago. But the difference this time is, like you, I have a platform. So, although they wanted to treat me, and they did treat me like I was just any old ordinary person, out here, just a black man on the side of the road driving a fancy car, and we're gonna get in this business and threaten him and scare him within an inch of his life. And we think we could do it, and we could just ride away and let him pick up the pieces. This time I said, nah, it's not happening that way. We have resources. I got brothers like you who are gonna allow me to get it out there. And not that, I was coming for the entire police department, but I'm coming for anybody that think that was okay and who dares to do that against people in the community who are minding a business. So I wind up putting together a movie. It's called Dead Right. It's a short film. I'll definitely provide that to you, but it dramatizes what happened to me. And it also talks about, how I survived the incident and then doubled back, and I turned the tables. Because that's one thing about the tables, they do turn if you know how to turn them. And so as opposed to me being on the street and trying to vindicate my rights and advocate and act like I'm in the Supreme Court or want to fight and have this big old attitude, which really they don't care about because they're the ones with all the power and the gun, Instead, I just kind of did my thing, survived was the number one thing. And then when I knew the odds would change in my favor, which was in a court of law, I filed my complaint, I filed my lawsuit, and then created my movie. And I was vindicated in terms of showing that they had violated my rights. So, this is the way we have to fight just as much as march and rally and put it on social media. We also have to use the systems that they've set up and exploit them to our benefit in order to create the track record and the change we want to see.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, D, because a lot of black men, a lot of people in the community deal with that. And I'm glad you could be coming to do some of the educational stuff for us because I think that's sometimes in the community when the police do act out of character or act out of pocket, do things as community, sometimes we don't know how to do the proper process to write up the officers, go through the process, because you have that experience, you're able to maneuver. But what about the person, the young brother out there that happened to? You know what I mean? He might not know that. And I think that's
Absolutely.
why it's so powerful and impactful to have a brother like you to come educate the people, talk to the people and let them know, because this is happening a lot, in our
Yep.
communities. And we have to start, like you said, using the intangibles to break down the system that's in place to help hold them accountable. And on that, I wanted to ask you, because here I get a little radical. They call me a little radical, right? But when you talked about, you know, the injustice of the justice system, one of the things that I believe in politically, where community has to get involved, and this is where my issue comes in with Black Lives Matters as a foundation.
Mhm.
Black Lives Matter as a slogan and what it means for us in the community, I'm all for, but as a foundation, because I feel like the real injustice starts at the top.
Mm.
So a couple things need to happen, right? We need to have term seating. We have
Yeah.
too many politicians sitting in seats for 50, 60 years and nothing's changing. That's one of the issues, right? And then what do we do about these elected officials that's given seats? Like, Trump appointed over 200 federal judges.
Right.
What people don't understand is when these federal judges get in these lifetime seats, these 100-year seats, right? When you go to appeal court for something that maybe a police officer did to you or somebody, these judges is the one who's going to make the decision on your appeal, right? So my
Absolutely.
thing is, people think I'm radical. I say no public official should be appointed public seats, meaning
Mm.
that a president shouldn't appoint a federal judge, a governor, a mayor, because those are public seats. And I feel
Mm.
like the public should be the one voting on those seats, and those seats should be termed so that we don't get people in here with a 100-year agenda that really impacts and affect the community all the way from the Constitution down. So
Yeah.
what's your thoughts and your perspective on how do we change it? Is that the right way? Am I too far left or right? Or
I think the point that I take from your proposal and your angle or your viewpoint is more so that we need to look at all this stuff with a fresh eye. You have to break the mold if you want something different. They say, the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And so, we have to begin to think outside the lines, outside the box. But at the same time, if you want to say, look, I don't like their box, then you have to be prepared to create your own circle or your own pyramid. I mean, you can't just burn something down and then have no place to live. Okay. You could build and destroy, you know, and I'm down for all of that. One of the things I like to tell people, because talk about the presidency, and I was a political science major, graduated with my degree in political science from Berkeley, worked on Capitol Hill and stuff. Is one of the things that most people don't really have a good grasp on, and I didn't either. Is that 98% of the business that that's the Congress and the Senate and the people in DC do is allocate where your money's going. 2%, 1% is about the social issues that we all get hyped up about that they drag out every 4 years: abortion, affirmative action, and those type of things, right? Whereas the whole time, the government's in your pocket 365, where they might talk about your issue 1 or 2 days. So, you got to follow the money because the money is a symbolism of what the priority is of the nation or whoever the decision maker that's saying who gets the money. And so, one of the things that occurred to me was I said, look, you have a president, to go to your idea about term limits. You have a president that maximum could go for 2 terms. That's 8 years, right? 8 years. But you have the CEO of Halliburton, or you got the CEO of BlackRock, which is one of the biggest financial investors, money managers. You have the people at Bear Stearns or Merrill Lynch, they can hold that CEO position for 20, 30, 40, 50, like you said, 100 years. Imagine when the president is like, hey, I need to figure out what to do with this financial situation, this economy. And he's like, okay, who should I call? They're like, oh, call up the CEO of Bear Stearns, Merrill Lynch. That CEO comes into the White House. Hell, he knows the White House better than the president. He's like, man, I've been here for 3, 4 other presidents before you got here. You fumbling with something in your desk. He's like, look, oh, I helped him fix it. Let me show you how to pop that open. You know, you're gonna do some slick stuff or something. He's like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're calling in the Secret Service. Like, they're there because their power and wealth and their position allows them to stay in the position and to circulate and move around positions. Whereas your elected official, they're coming to the party late. So fundamentally, they're already behind the 8 ball when you're dealing with people with power who have access to those public officials. So part of it is, in my opinion, all that to say, it's about figuring out how the people who have the long-term power and resources, the capital in a capitalist system, and how they push and pull and shape and mold those public officials, how you limit that. I mean, it's hard to be independent when you need the lobbyist money. You know, it's very hard to turn people down when they're the ones feeding you. It's called you don't bite the hand that feeds you. We've all heard that. And that's what you have going on in politics. So, you know, I've thought about politics, and I'm sure it sounds like you have too, brother. And I've always said, man, I wanna have a solid financial foundation so I can really vote my conscience. And that's what people like Congresswoman Barbara Lee, I think, do, and others, you know.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot.
Yeah, I try to stay out of the politics. It's too much because I know the black community is a lot of needs, and you know, I'm so sick of these politicians poverty pimping our community. And I understand that it all comes down to the dollar, the mighty dollar, and that's why we always trying to unify our community, patronize our business because it
Right.
takes businesses and black support with that financial backing to get our elected officials in to really have true decision making and law making stuff that's going to definitely help promote the community. So definitely deep. We're getting closer to the end here. I ain't gonna hold you up too much, brother, because I know you got amazing things going on. One of the things I know that I wanted to highlight, you know, because I know you did the big Chevron civil case, and
Yes.
I know a couple people who definitely was blessed and appreciative of that, man. And you know, we have a lot of that employment stuff that's going on,
Hmm.
and it's just good to see brothers like you helping the community out, man. I
Right
love
on.
that.
You know, we had Chevron, man. I along with my former law firm, man, we represented over 10,000. Well, it started, you know, more people at the beginning, and then as it goes along, because keep in mind, Chevron is one of the most profitable and powerful international companies in the entire world. I mean, I remember I looked at their stuff. They make like literally like $1 billion a second or something crazy. So, you know, they put 500 lawyers against us and everything else. And but we still managed to bring back something for the community. And of course, you know, I'm gonna be the first person to say it wasn't everything. You know, it wasn't all I wanted, but rarely in life do I get all I want anyway. Uh, so you know, I put it in context, especially when people on the other side don't want you to have a crumb. So you know, we brought back some biscuits for the projects, you know, with a little jelly on there. So you know, but at the end of the day, all joking aside, man, you know, they offended the community by their actions, and it was a tax that they needed to pay. And I was happy and proud to be a part of the army that we had on the community side to try to do that. So yeah, that was a big case, and those are the type of things, as I mentioned. You know, I remember when that first happened. You know, I was actually away. I was out the country on vacation, and I saw it. I hadn't been online. I kind of unplugged, as we all need to do from time to time, just to get right. And so I looked on, you know, my phone, and I saw that there was this thing. I was like, what? And I was, you know, seeing what at that time the big smoke and everything, and it looked like, you know, half of Richmond was on fire. I'm like, is it gonna blow up? And man, I woke up the next morning and took a flight back into the country, and hopped in my car, and literally was off in Crescent Park, in the one ways in North Richmond. You know, you know, I was out there beating the street and making sure that people understood what their rights were. We had rallies and meetings in churches, and you know, the whole community came together. You know, it wasn't just me, the whole community, man. We had Bishop Jackson and others out there, you know, who came through and put it down and stood up. And, you know, 8 years later, We finally made the giant do something, but it was a real David and Goliath, man. But we were there, and so was the community.
Man, Deep, thank you, man, for supporting our people. Y'all hear this? The brother's a people person, man. Sometimes in life, we got to have people that stand by the community. This brother's here, man. And like I said, you guys keep look out for him. I'm going to have him put out his information if you could get a hold of him on all his social media
Absolutely.
handles or reach out to him. But again, man, you hear him. He's from the streets. He's from the city. He's from the community. He want to see us win. We know brothers is going through stuff. Reach out to him. And definitely in the upcoming future, we're going to have him back on. He's going to do an educational presentation to help educate the community because that's what we need, information to move ahead and understand where we at so that we can get by and maneuver, man. So I just want to say thank you, Dante, for coming on. I think it was deep. You was our only hidden gem tonight. Big platform for you, doing your thing, man. And just go ahead and any last final words you want to say, but definitely can you just verbalize all your social media handles or how people can get a hold of your firm, get a hold of you if they have questions, because we're going to recycle this. And I know sometimes some people might miss it and then they
Absolutely.
watch the next day like, oh, I got to call this brother. This happened to me. And I think this would be a good way to connect you with the other people.
Absolutely. Well, the easy thing is that most of my social media is just my name, and that's Adante, Adante, and their last name Pointer, Pointer, just like the Pointer Sisters. And I'm off that block. We're all from the West. So don't ask me to sing though. Okay, I do know how to entertain a jury, but keep them captivated. But I am not a singer. But so you can reach me Instagram. It's Adante Pointer on Facebook the same, and Twitter as well. I'm always, posting stories and things that I'd like to amplify and highlight. And I am looking for somebody out there, and I'm sure your viewers, your wealth of the people out here with all these skills, somebody who can actually help me take that to another level. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, information, as you mentioned, that needs to get out. And while we're in the trenches, in court and back and forth and doing these things, it's a little hard to take care of all of that. So maybe there's somebody out there that's looking for an opportunity that could help me turn it up a little bit. But so yeah, Instagram, YouTube, you can actually find the video Dead Right, my short film. I actually think I also posted it somewhere on my Facebook page. And it's funny, I was thinking about bringing that back just to make it more accessible to people. In terms of finding out about my firm and the type of work we do, and even my bio and cases we've handled, you can definitely find that at www.lawyers. So that's lawyers with an S, FTP, lawyersftp.com. Now, I'm sure somebody out there is like, lawyers, FTP. Well, we use it to mean lawyers for the people. Now, I've been told there's another way that you can look at that. Now, I mean, there's many ways to look at things. People say what they say. It's lawyers for the people, but lawyersftp.com if you want to follow us and stay in the know, because we do have actions where we try to rally and get the people out, give information, or let people know where I might be speaking, or let people know about a court case that we need to pack the room. And let me tell you, that is important. I tried a case in San Jose against the San Jose Police Department, and they shot and killed the 18-year-old Anthony Nunez. And every day, that young man's family and community, as well as community groups, came out and packed the courtroom. In fact, I'll tell a little story. The day of jury instructions, where we're waiting on the verdict, we heard the defendants, the police officers, talk about that they had planned to have a show of force. They were going to have a whole bunch of officers come in and pack the courtroom, since we had been doing it all those days. The community got there extra early, was in line first, filled the courtroom. I looked out and it was nothing but people looking like you or I, and the people who were concerned, people who were on the right side of justice. And that jury came back with a verdict to the tune of almost $3 million on behalf of the Nunez family. So don't let people tell you that, organizing and that you can't do anything and the system is omnipotent, it's omnipresent, and you're just oppressed and you have to deal with what's given to you. I don't believe that. I'm also not going to sell you a dream and tell you that just because on the first try you try something, it's going to work, or just because you want something bad, it's going to work, or just because you pray, it's going to work. No, I'm going to tell you that it might not work, but the effort of doing it puts us that much closer to the victory lap. And that's what we're trying to get to, man. It's about you got to just keep giving your best effort as best you can and hope that your other brother or sister, whatever your weakness or whatever, whenever you get tired, somebody else is there to keep on the fight. That's what it's going to take, man. Anything less than that, then it's a wrap. And I'm unwilling to believe that it's a wrap, man. We've come too far. We're the best and the brightest, not because we're better than those before us. We're just the outgrowth of everything and all the work that they put in. So, let's all get to it. Let's unify. I love it. The love is what's going to take us to the next level. It's about having love for self and love for the principles of community, that got us to this point. So, man, I just want to tell everybody out there listening, you could do it. You can make it happen. You can make a difference. It's already in you. People will try to convince you of anything other than your greatness. So, you have to make sure those people who are willing to pour into you, keep them close, keep the haters away, and keep your eyes to the sky, baby. Adante Pointer, Lawyers for the People.
Man, lawyer for the people. There you guys have it. We have a large group, a lot of paralegals, a lot of different people. Y'all heard the brother. Reach out to him if you want to go help out a vibrant brother. You see the energy. I can feel it. He got me over here ready to just go. That's real Bay Area right there, man.
Yes,
But
sir.
definitely, man, we just want to thank you, and we definitely go continue to pray for you as well, man, because when you have brothers like you doing this work, man, people in the community will be understanding these brothers need prayer and they need support as well, because you guys are getting chopped down every day, and it's not so many of us. And when you make noise and you make things happen, the haters grow in a large amounts of numbers, man. So blessings out to you, family, for the holidays, man. Have safe. Looking forward to you connecting with you in the future to do our Educational Thursday presentation.
Yes. Look forward to coming back and all of that.
All of our people, reach out to him. Like he said, he needs some help to do some things. Reach out to the brother, man. We got to support him. That's what we do here at Both Sides of the Conversation on our Hidden Gem segment. It's about highlighting our leaders. He's not a hidden gem now. He's out there. Y'all know. Let's go support him. Let's patronize his business, and let's help support this brother, lift him up to the next level where he's trying to go, man. So thank you again, brother, and just looking forward to working with you in the future.
Appreciate it, man. If I was a hidden gem, that means I was probably a little dusty. But after being kind of,
VVS is a shine, baby. You shine it out, baby.
Brother got a little shine.
The community know now. You out there now. But thank you very much, brother, for coming on. And as we end this, you guys, just want to let you guys know, this Thursday, we won't have an Educational Thursday due to the holiday, but we will be having our Sunday conversation. We are having a sister come on to teach about the American Slave Rebellion. This is going to be an interactive conversation. It's going to be some games. I mean, this is really to educate our people about a lot of the American rebellions and some of the ones that's across the country, some of the slaves that rebelled against slavery. A very educational piece, very deep, especially at this time during these holidays, just to continue to educate people about the history, some of the things we did in this time that we're resisting as a community. We fighting back, we push it back. So this will definitely be some hope and some inspiration for the people. And then that following Tuesday, we'll have another segment of our Hidden Gems as we start getting ready. And then we're going to kick off the Educational Thursdays again. And we got some amazing people coming up. We got some attorneys coming up. We got some tax people coming up. We just giving the community game, man. So you got to tune in and you got to apply the game, and definitely focus in on what's going on. And then again tonight, after seeing his hidden gems, here at Both Sides of the Conversation, we all over the place. We can't find all the hidden gems. So if you have a hidden gem out there or a business person out there that you think need to be nominated to get on here to promote or get their information out so that we know, because we don't know everybody. And there's a lot of amazing people doing amazing things in the community. Please reach out to us at Both Sides of the Conversation at Gmail. We want to get these hidden gems up here. Our school teachers that's doing a phenomenal job. We got a couple coming up, but we need some more of our school teachers to come up as hidden gems, because we need to let the community know our teachers are going through a lot with the Zoom schooling, not being able to be in a classroom. And we know there's amazing teachers that's going above and beyond to make sure our kids are getting educated. So please reach out to us and let us know. For all of our segments, all of our shows, it's Both Sides of the Conversation at Gmail. Check us out on YouTube. If you missed tonight's or any one of our previous Hidden Gems or Educational Thursday, you can go to Both Sides of the Conversation on YouTube and you can see our previous shows. And that's where all the information is. And if you're in our Facebook group, you get the weekly updates, what's going on, what we have going on to continue to keep this movement pushing. And before we go, definitely want to say it again. Keep your prayers out there for our co-founder, Rico Hamilton, and his family as we get to the holidays. Just keep him on his mind. We miss him, we love him, and we support him. And we looking forward to him coming back soon. But we definitely want to keep those prayers out to him. Thanks to all of the Both Sides of Conversation team, our admin support. They are doing an amazing job fighting to get people scheduled and put on. And just want to thank them. So with that being said, you guys have a blessed, safe holiday with this COVID. Please social distance, wear a mask, try to keep the family together small. I know when it's this time of the year, we want to hug and chill and be around our family, but let's be safe and respect our social distance until we can get through this pandemic, man. So be safe out there. Happy holidays. If you're traveling, safe travels. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys back. I am John Henry, co-founder of Both Sides of Conversation, and we will see you guys this Sunday. Have a blessed one.